The Lunar Guardsman. Written by Grimar. Chapter 11. Avoiding the Consequences, Part 2. Rainbow sauntered in the Royal Guard training hall. It was almost noon, but guards were still practicing on rings paved with blue rigid mattresses. Pegasi were flying up in the air, dodging softballs and colored harmless spells that the unicorns were throwing at them. There was a flurry of activity from every corner. That's what it looked like until she took a closer look. No pony there seemed to be putting himself or herself through the same rigorous standards that Rainbow did for herself. Everything was mechanical, an obligation to be fulfilled, a part of the workday that they were looking forward to be done with. They were practicing, training themselves pretty well admittedly, but they weren't pushing themselves. She had an inkling of thought that things were different in the Solar Guard training hall. Rainbow was also certain that if Regda and Luna managed to get the Lunar Guard off the ground, it would be even more different. What would happen to a Lunar Guard that Luna or Regda caught not trying hard enough? Probably a rousing session of fight and or run for your life. Good thing that Rainbow had already decided to go to the Wonderbolts route. She was too disenchanted with the whole guard corps so far. Alright, off to work. Spy Master Rainbow Dash was set to... What the hell was she supposed to do? Okay, that would take a little bit of noggin use. Rainbow wanted the guards to trust her and think she didn't like Regden and Luna, so she had to diss them in front of them. That left quite a bad taste in her mouth, especially considering what had happened with Regden. So maybe Regden crossed a line, but hey, at least he did do something. No pony seemed to be going after these fillies anytime soon if it wasn't for him. Wrong way to do it? Sure. Better to do the wrong thing as far as Rainbow was concerned, however, than just sit on your flank twiddling your feathers. Twilight turning so viciously against him rubbed Rainbow wrong too. It could be her element talking or urging her, but he did do that for Twilight's safety, didn't he? That should count for something apart from the vicious cold shoulder. Ah well, Twilight knew the guy better. She probably had gone through the same before. Alright, that's why they had come here in the first place after 2 years. When she wasn't entirely sure about what he had done? Pony feathers. Regden was screwed. Rainbow turned her attention back to the task at hand. Okay, dissing Regden and Luna. She could do that. They told her to do that themselves after all. She pretended she kicked his ass, which she almost did when he wasn't even trying to really hurt her, and then if it came to it, she would just have to chip her talk with actions. She was going to have to fight, wasn't she? That was totally cool. Rainbow was always up for a good spar against trained soldiers. Okay, she had this. She would have to feel a bit more secure if a certain princess had actually shown her flank yesterday when she was supposed to be preparing her for this stuff. On second thought, considering what went down, if Luna had shown up, Rainbow would now be on a bed next to the other Pegasus, playing solitaire and waiting for her next dose of painkillers. Hey, weren't you with Princess Luna and her guardsman at the tournament? 3 guards had closed up on Rainbow while she was too busy staring around like a total loser. This was it. The moment of true spying art mastery. Yeah? Totally got it. Don't mess this up. Must be nice being friendly with, a princess. The only Pegasus in the group said. Rainbow had noticed their pauses and swift switches to what they said. This group was exactly what she needed. You'd think so, she answered, acting out being bored. And it might have been true if she wasn't such a raving lunatic. That Regden guy too. I even got into a fight with him. The female unicorn eyed her critically, looking for any signs of injury on her. You don't look like if you've been in a fight with that monster. Totally have, Rainbow defended herself. I just didn't let him get a hit on me. The trio looked disbelievingly at her. You saw how we got nailed on the side of the tournament, right? I got a couple of good kicks there, and down he went, like a dumb tree. The mare that had challenged her story laughed out loud, the other two joining in. Gosh, she felt deplorable. And you got her that fight with him unscathed? I'm not sure I believe that, the male unicorn said, being obviously skeptical. Okay, he did get me once. Punched me right on my head. My skull turned out to be hotter than his fingers, though. Rainbow smirked. The unicorn stallion snorted a laugh. He addressed his comrades. Huh. I've seen her pet run around with its hand bandaged. I think she's telling the truth.
Sounds like you know your way around a fight then,
The mare guard smirked.
Care to give us a sample of your skills? Anytime, anywhere, sister.
Rainbow cried out, her hoof poking the guard on the chest plate. Horse apples, that looked to be pretty tough. She hoped she was either going to get one too before heading into the fight, or her opponent would take it off.
Who am I going up against? Me,
The mare answered. She headed towards the spot on the wall where the practice weapons had been laying on racks. Her magic grabbed a long blade, and she swirled it around at a dizzying speed, bringing it around in her slashing and spearing motions, creating a wall of moving steel. Rainbow was pretty good with her hooves, relied on her amazing speed and reflexes, and she knew that she was in a very bad spot right now. This guard mare was good. The good news was the blade was blunt and could only give her bruises, maybe break something at most, or give her a concussion. The bad news was that she was probably getting bruises, something broken, or a concussion in a few minutes. She took a deep breath, stood in front of the rack to make her choice. The unicorn guard had range, technique, skill, and experience. Rainbow would have to counter those paltry advantages somehow. Okay, wing bleeds are right out. Don't even look. Blades. Rainbow imagined herself trying to block that whirlwind of metal with a piece of metal that she'd had with her teeth, her soft, breakable muzzle right on its path. Nope, no weapons she had to hold with her mouth. The best she could figure out was a choice between combat horseshoes or a spear. She decided to go with a spear. Maybe if she charged fast enough, she could nail her before she got a chance to hit back. She pulled one of them from the rack. Wow, they, didn't have a point, but something like a knob at the end. Boy, that would be so devastating against her guard armor. Horse apples.
So, what's your name, by the way?
Rainbow asked.
Lotus.
The mare said.
One of the rings is free. Shall we? Yeah, sure. Can't wait.
Rainbow lied through her teeth. She was always up for a contest, but having already seen what can happen to limbs, like her precious, precious wings, she was undeniably shying away from the thought of that chunk of metal having a go at her when she never actually wielded a proper weapon in a fight before. She needed a figure.
Already itching for another fight, Rainbow Dash.
A cold voice spoke behind her. Rainbow quickly whirled around to come face to face with Luna. The three guards that were with her took a short step backward. Lotus dropped her sword and was trying to creep in front of Luna's line of sight, to prevent her from seeing it.
Ah, having a friendly spar, I see.
Luna pointedly stared at the spear Rainbow was holding, while her magic brought the sword that Lotus felt to hide in front of her, a frightened squeak emerging from the guard's lips. A series of cracks filled the silence as Luna performed a series of motions similar to Lotus, but much faster.
The balance is off. Somebody could get hurt with this.
Luna deadpanned.
I was just about to have a friendly spar with Lotus here.
Rainbow said, trying to accentuate the word friendly just right enough for Luna to get the meaning that she could do with some help here.
Really?
Luna threw the sword towards the racks, treating it as a piece of junk.
I am sorry to disappoint you, my loyal guard, but I cannot allow this.
Oh, thanks, Celestia, Rainbow thought. She wasn't getting her flank split in.
I would like to have a turn with Rainbow Dash myself. We have something to settle.
What? The spear levitated away from Rainbow's weak hold.
Swords with blunt edges and spears with no tips are not weapons. They are toys meant for children.
Luna lectured them.
We shall fight bare-hooved.
Luna kicked off her shoes, removed her neckpiece and crown, and dragged Rainbow towards the empty ring, leaving the shot guards behind them. What was Luna playing at? Was she taking her chance to give Rainbow a beatdown for what happened between Regnant and her friends? Ah, shoot. She should have gone into their secret armory herself. She was the one who had found it. Well, that's it. She was dead. Time to place her head between her legs and kiss her.
When you feel a flick on your left ear,
Luna whispered.
Stop whatever you are doing and kick straight behind you, as hard as you can.
Or maybe Luna had a plan. Maybe this wouldn't be so bad. Oh, shh. When a Pegasus took to the air, there were some motions they usually had to go through, notably when they launched themselves at speed. A small crouch was the customary form that allowed the Pegasus to use his or her legs as a makeshift spring to give themselves a burst of speed. Luna spat on the very idea of giving her opponents a warning of what she was going to do. One moment Luna stood all casual, like on the other end of the ring. The next instant, one of her front hooves was about to smack Rainbow right on the kisser. Rainbow somehow avoided that hit. Don't ask how. She had no clue and took to the air herself. She tried to gain some distance via altitude, but when she stopped and turned around, Luna was right on her face again, about to give her the apple tree treatment, Applejack style. Rainbow's wings reversed the direction she was flapping at, something extremely hard, draining, and painful. Assisted by gravity, she went down to the ground, Luna's legs barely brushing the top of her head. She should have stuck with Lotus. Luna was not playing around. Luna landed in front of Rainbow moments after, not allowing Rainbow a single second to get her bearings back. Rainbow decided to go on the offensive. With a push from her wings to give herself a boost, she tried to punch Luna's face. The princess merely leaned her head to the side, her features bored as she watched the hoof completely miss by mere centimeters. Second verse same as the first. Luna was playing around. Rainbow just happened to be the chew toy. It was time for Rainbow to shake things up. Luna thought she was fast. Rainbow would show her what fast meant. Rainbow turned her body around, as if to kick with her back legs. She heard the clop of Luna's hooves as she casually took a single step back. Didn't matter. Rainbow didn't intend to kick her, but the floor. She was in the air once more, faster than any pony even Luna could realize. She needed to build up speed. She flew in a wide arc, each beat of her wings enhancing her velocity to greater heights. She aimed right for Luna. Even from this distance, that she was now closing fast, Rainbow could see her smirk. She thought she could easily dodge or strike back at Rainbow easily, just like Regden did, didn't she? Well, Luna had either forgotten or didn't know something very important. Rainbow Dash was a stunt flyer. One of her wings came up as the other sliced the air downwards. Her Pegasi magic grabbed hold of the law of motion and kicked its flank upside down. It was one of the sharpest, tightest U-turns Rainbow had ever did. It was as if the Cyan Pegasus had mastered the teleportation spell. But before she was heading for Luna's front, now she was heading for her back, only a meter away from her target. Correction. Luna was 1 meter in front of her and less than half a meter below Rainbow. Luna had ducked. She actually yawned and stretched like a cat while she did so. Rainbow sailed past right over her, her sweet sun wasted. She kept going, maintaining her speed until she could turn around and try again. That was the plan. If at first you don't succeed, try again harder and faster. She heard another pair of wings beating right behind her. Luna was after her already. If Luna thought that Rainbow would allow her to beat her in a contest of speed, then she was totally out of her gourd. She would head for the line of columns at the other end of... Rainbow felt her ear being flicked. Luna's whispered advice roared in her mind. She halted midair, her wings straining to break down her momentum, and dedicated all the considerable strength of her muscles to a double kick backwards with every ounce of force she could muster. She felt her hooves connect hard with something. Or horse apples. She felt her hooves connect hard with something. She rapidly twisted around just in time to see Luna crashing on the ground head first, blood flowing from her muzzle and mouth, a crimson drizzle that followed her painful downward arc. Luna pushed herself back on her feet and wiped her mouth with her hoof, turning the color of her coat into a dark purple. The Royal Guard training hall was silent. Every guard had been paying attention to the fight taking place, and now they all gaped at the sight of Luna bleeding.
So, does that mean I win?
Rainbow asked. Luna's horn lit bright, her ferocious glare locked on Rainbow. Her magic grabbed Rainbow out of the air and shoved her down to the ground in front of Luna, none took gently at all.
I have made a mistake in treating you like the so-called gods, Rainbow Dash. But make no false assumptions. This was just a spar. In a real fight...
Luna's magic pressed around Rainbow, making her skin itch and shiver. Her head twisted on her neck until it reached the limit of where it could comfortably turn, and pressed further, just enough to get the message across with the creaking sound of her bones. Rainbow felt an urgent need to scratch her left ear. Luna's magic threw her to the wall like a rag doll.
We will have a rematch soon,
Luna promised. She turned and headed for the exit, leaving Rainbow crumpled against the wall, and every guard staring wide-eyed between her and Rainbow. When Luna was gone, Lotus and her two friends rushed over to help Rainbow get up, their smiles wide and gleaming.
You actually bled her!
The Pegasus guard uttered bewildered. The crowd around them broke the silence with a cacophony of cheers and hoof stomps.
Congrats, kid!
Lotus screamed in Rainbow's ear under the echoing applause of the guards.
No pony has managed to do that. So far she's been beating each and every one of us to the ground. First her monster and now her? You're on fire.
They dragged her towards the exit.
This calls for a drink. Let's go celebrate!
Rainbow gazed around as they pushed her in front of them. Guards were shouting their congratulations, many of them clapping her back with a hoof. Every pony seemed ecstatic. She had hoped that mostly the high of watching the underdog gain the unexpected victory was not the sight of Luna's face broken and bleeding. It seemed like she was going to have a harder time with this spine thing than she ever guessed at. She flexed her pained wings. Luna might not actually laid a hoof on her, but she pushed her right to her limits to do so. At least now she had some nice cold cider to look forwards to. Perk of the spy business, she guessed. She just wished she had company she could enjoy. It was almost noon. Fluttershy hurried through the stone pathways that had been set on the ground to reach the furthest side of the huge palace gardens. She had to hurry or she would be late, but oh, that family of birds was just so beautiful. She lost track of time watching the parents teach their young how to fly, and now she had to trot faster than she would have liked, attracting unwanted attention. Fluttershy looked up, her legs unheeding of the lack of attention she paid to her path, and unerringly find their footing. The sun had almost reached its zenith. Oh, she would be cutting it close. This just wouldn't do. She sped up, her wings delicately pushing her forward in a false flight that still left her comfortably grounded. She finally made it to the place she had chosen yesterday. It was so peaceful here. This part of the gardens was almost deserted. The only other occupants in sight were two solar guards, guarding one of the entrances that was too close to Princess Celestia's tower where her private chambers were located. They were far off enough that she could easily dismiss them and pretend she was completely alone. There was such silence too. A quirk of the castle's architecture, and the way two well-pruned tall bush walls had been planted, gave this place a silence unlike anything else in Camelot. She loved the chirping of the birds and the animals calling all around, but there was something to be said about a solitude as this. The only sound was the breeze passing through the leaves of the trees around her. It was almost time. She took her carefully picked position. The wind was blowing just the right way too. Fluttershy closed her eyes and lifted her face upwards, the sun's brightness making it through her eyelids, making her eyes ache just a little bit. She waited for the right moment when the sun reached its absolute highest point.
Risen is the sun, upon my soul it shines. The shadow leaves me, fearful of her light. Risen is the sun, through me flows her light, making me pure, worthy of her sight.
A second voice joined her, speaking the words in perfect sync. Risen is the sun, higher than all. I feel not the moon, shielded by her hold. Risen by the sun, upon my soul it shines. To her divine radiance, I offer soul and life. Fluttershy fluttered her eyelids, trying to rid herself of the burning glare that had been imprinted in her sight. She could only see blurs when she turned to the stallion that stood behind her. Miss Fluttershy, for a minute I was afraid you'd decide not to join me today.
Oh no, I would never do that.
Fluttershy denied the playful accusation. She accepted the offered hoof and walked into the gardens with her companion. A relatively shorter one today, I apologize about that, but this is about the halfway section of this 17,000 word chapter. The next section will be a lot bigger and a lot juicier, and I'm very excited to get to it. That aside, however, who else are very kind, and I can't wait to talk about, are my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, Squall, Windfeather, Wande La Paz, Rain Flicker, Starlight Blaze, Dreamless Portal, and Redeemer of Dark. Chase Lemaster, Sword Brother and Mordred, Danish Dash, Night in Game, DJ Mex 2000, Solus, RD Bryant, Captain Blueshadow, Nocturne, HKH4 aka Texture, The Animated Ghost, and Can Panzer. And of course a large thank you to my Titan tier subscribers, Dark Guardian, Maverick, and Silent Titan. I appreciate your guys' support so much and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.